From the eyes of a little boy in Monrovia, a glimpse of the past, a gruesome past when the devil himself walked through Liberia. The civil war in Liberia was unprecedented in savagery. The world is still dealing with how man could be so cruel to fellow man. It was a tragic West African story. Next door in Sierra Leone, the devil took residence as the civil war raged. Wickedness found a new limit. Man did unto man that which the world is still trying to come to terms with. Another West African tragic story. Civil wars later in Côte d'Ivoire as well as Guinea-Bissau compounded the story. Clouds of trouble hung over the region as the ripple effect of the wars reverberated across the region. The collective security of the region was threatened.
By 1990, our region was in deep trouble in many parts.
ECOWAS had a mechanism in place to address interstate conflicts, but there was none for intrastate conflict. Nobody envisaged that intrastate conflict could assume such catastrophic dimensions that they could threaten to consume not only the states affected, but the region as a whole. West African leaders responded with the phenomena that came to be known as ECOMOG. At great human and material costs, ECOMOG succeeded considerably in rescuing these countries from the edge of infamy.
The fact that we were united, we were not tired, and whatever was going on in the field, and activities were going on in the field, we were also maintaining political or diplomatic negotiation or intervention. And at the end of the day, I think the political negotiation and diplomatic intervention won the day.
Even then, ECOMOG had a problem of legitimacy as there was no enabling legal framework for its unprecedented mission. To some member states, ECOWAS was crossing the line by going beyond its primary objective of economic development and getting involved in what was strictly construed as the political affairs of sovereign states. The hard lessons from those years of conflict drove West African leaders to introspect and come up with a strategy for the future.
There was a declaration of political principles by the heads of state of ECOWAS, basically saying that, yes, we are ready to take on our own challenges, with the increasing intrastate wars that we are building.
With the benefit of hindsight, the reality is that all the signs were there that crisis was imminent in those countries, and it could have been nipped in the bud if only they had been read. So, when ECOWAS leaders decided to introduce a new architecture for conflict prevention in the region, a critical component was early warning. In 1999 in Lomé, the ECOWAS heads of state and government introduced the Protocol on Mechanism on Conflict Prevention, Management, Resolution, Peacekeeping and Security. The early warning system under the protocol is charged with the responsibility of monitoring and reporting conflict early warning signs in all member states to the heads of state through the ECOWAS Commission President.
The whole idea is to make sure that the information and the analysis get to policymakers in a timely manner in order to prevent impending conflicts or mitigate existing conflicts.
Specifically, the system is to provide warnings about armed insurgency against a member state, violent conflict between member states, coup d'etat, gross abuse of human rights, intercommunal violence, trans-border crimes, proliferation of small arms and light weapons, and money laundering. Thus, the early warning system of ECOWAS evolved. It is anchored on an intricate but rather extensive network supported by an ICT platform.
The vision for ECO1 between 2003 and 2013 is basically to set up an integrated and functional early warning system.
The early warning system is driven by a philosophy hinged on a bottom-up approach to ensure that the West African region is comprehensively covered. In practice, the Directorate of Early Warning works with the West Africa Network for Peacebuilding, WANEP, with which it has a memorandum of understanding. WANEP, a civil society organization, has a presence in all the 15 member states with partnerships that reach deep into West African communities.
In each of these countries, WANEP have each of what they call national networks. They have a number of civil society organizations that are in peace building that are spread in all the countries. So while each of the countries have a national secretariat that regulates and make the network itself function effectively, each of these organizations belong to WANEP, and they are over 500 organizations now that are members of WANEP across the sub-region, and this helps WANEP to be in one place and yet in every place.
We are at different levels as well as civil society. We are very formal, huge, organizations, but also we are very, low-key, low-profile organizations in the, in the communities, and so they can detect, notice trends that the bigger organizations probably in the urban areas may not notice. Maybe land issues, maybe dispute over animals, or other issues that concern rural or poor communities. So linking up with them, therefore, brings out the key development issues that concern the people.
Well, my role generally is to follow the developments in the zone and to make analysis of what is coming out in the reports. Look at the social, the economic, the political and security context, and what it is that is likely to trigger violence or cause conflict.
In the 15 member states that make up ECOWAS, there are a total of 45 focal persons. In each member state, there is a WANEP focal person, one focal person from the government of the member state, and one alternate focal person. They monitor and feed information into a web-based application called the ECOWAS Warning and Response Network, ECOWARN.
Basically, it's a web application where the field monitors gather data, and based on those 94 and now 66 indicators, feed information, try to answer questions, on the indicators we had pre-selected. Try to answer questions and provide clarifications if need be.
The information is structured to cover what has been referred to as human security issues. A template has been developed for reporting by the focal persons.
It's in a questionnaire form that measure 66 indicators, all of them bordering on peace and security.
Countries like Liberia, Senegal, if they add the small increase on rice price, it's a big problem.
Is a totality of human security issues. What is it that affects the human person? Because the totality of the human security issues gives a person the disposition to conflict or otherwise. So it is a myriad of information that covers even issues to do with agriculture, humanitarian affairs, food security, animal husbandry, even the coping mechanisms of each of these countries and how they are able to deal with their vulnerability to these risks. So in other words, there must be a link between youth bulge and armed robbery rate in any particular country. There must be a relationship between the dropout out of girls in school and the relationship with that to prostitution, for instance.
You never know where the